So, hello and welcome. This is Erica Glessing. You're joining me on the summit for creating a business beyond this reality. And, I get sometimes it sounds too good to be true, right? Like we can actually thrive in a spirit of creativity in our own business energy. My next guest is an amazing, well, she just has kind of a healing way about her that just really drew me to her. I loved her energy when I first met her. So she's an author in now two of my books. And please welcome Jennilynne Coley. Hi.
Hello.
So, if I'm just starting out, let's say I'm starting out in a lot of our listeners have healing professions, work with people one on one, help their clients get over problems and traumas. If I'm just starting that kind of business, what are some of the first steps that you'd recommend that I take?
I would definitely say really tap in and check in with yourself and see if it's something that you are looking to kind of start part-time on the side of what you're already doing, or if you're truly ready to take the plunge and dive all in, which can be a little bit scary. Uh,
Yeah.
and definitely totally worth it. I know on my personal journey, I actually came from 15 years in the financial services industry, completely opposite of doing any sort of energy work, right? I'm selling real estate, managing banks, helping people with their investment portfolios with mutual funds and insurance and things like that. So nothing even related to energy work. And I know that I really was drawn to start taking some classes and becoming certified. And it was something I did really part-time on the side, starting to kind of build up a little bit of clientele and also teach some classes. And I kind of actually got thrust into literally
Right,
into
right.
taking the plunge, because as I was asking questions, I was still kind of holding on to, well, I'm a single mom, and well, I need that steady paycheck, and I want to make sure that my kids are okay. And it was
Yeah,
literally as I was driving on my way to work, to my last job that I had, that I was rear-ended. Didn't make any sense. I was stopping at a red light. Lady behind me wasn't paying attention. I couldn't have been going more than 5 miles an hour. She was going about 45, slammed into the back, got a
oh my
couldn't
God.
go back to work.
Oh my gosh, your body said, take me out of here.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
And so when we don't listen to those little soft whispers and messages from
Yeah.
the universe, then the big, hammer comes upside the head. Like, are you going to listen now?
Yeah. I
Uh,
remember, so I was uh so I've been writing my whole life, as you know, and the first book that Jenny Lynn wrote in was called Breast Easy for Happy Publishing, and then now, of course, she's in the creating business beyond this reality book. But I remember I was publishing part time, and I was working for marketing for a nonprofit, and I was driving to work. I remember that feeling of sitting in traffic, and it was only 20 minutes away, but in the San Francisco Bay Area, going to Palo Alto, it was in the Stanford campus, was like crazy traffic. Like it might be 90 minutes, each way. And so I would just sit in traffic, and I knew I'd have to sit in traffic. So it wasn't like something I was going in blind. And I remember hearing me say things like, when I publish full time, you know what I mean?
mhm,
Like it was so there, and I was so miserable going to that. Not I was so miserable in that position, and it wasn't that I wasn't doing good, and it wasn't that it wasn't a good job. Do you know what I'm saying? But
mhm.
I was personally miserable, and I just remember hearing myself say it until one time I heard myself say it, and I went, I'm talking about my business wrong. Because it was like I was telling Happy Publishing, someday I'll have your back.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I had
Yeah.
to really shift. I had to say, business, right? I had to really change how I approached it. It
Mhm.
was a very different
Absolutely.
energy.
Extremely, yeah. And we can tend to keep it out there in the future somewhere rather than being willing to have it and choose it and be it now.
Yeah.
Stops the flow and stops the
Yeah.
energy for sure.
How does your financial background help you in running your business now?
Oh my goodness, in so many different facets. So it's nice because when I was in that world, I enjoyed it. Like I've always been really fascinated with how money works and the different things you can do with it and play with it and create with it. Um, and so I love the energy work though too. And I think especially with the methodologies that the financial world puts out there to people, this is how you have to do it, and all of those practical how-tos are important. And I don't care how much you know about all those practical how to's, like there's an energy to money, right? And so if you don't have that kind of internal relationship and dialogue and almost communion with money, all the practical how to's in the world won't matter because they will literally deflate everything that you're creating, and vice versa. There's some practical how-tos of money that even if you have a great energetic relationship with money, if you don't understand the rules of this reality with money and how to use them to your advantage, then you can be hindering your progress and what you can create there too. And so literally in my energetic healing practice, I do some workshops where we look at we use a game that Robert Kiyosaki created. He's the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it's called Cash Flow 101. It's like Monopoly on steroids. And so we play that game because it's designed to bring up all your stops and blocks around money. And we play that game and then use the clearings from the body of energy work that I happen to utilize called Access Consciousness, that was founded by Gary Douglas and co-created by Dr. Dane here. And we're clearing the stuff as it's coming up. And then I'm utilizing my background and what I know to kind of explain these different investment opportunities and talk to people about what they can create and what they can choose and the possibilities that are available for them. So that's like a definite inside of my business thing that I've done, utilizing that past background. And I actually still have my insurance license active. So I've partnered with a financial rep that, kind of aligns with some of the energetic principles. And so I can refer clients over to him and he can work with them. So that's another way that I've like created another revenue stream inside of my business, which I also think is really important to do, to have different revenue streams to
I
help the
love it.
business become successful. And then just outside of that, even just talking about not just in the business itself, because business is about creating your life. So being willing to be the CEO, COO, and CFO of your life. So I do a little talk on that.
I
Truly.
have another question for you because I know you. I'm so fun. It's so fun to have like interviewing someone you already know a little bit. You are also a model. How does that play into your current like business energy? Like having been a model, has that because I know a lot of people like wish they could have modeled or but you actually went out and did some of that. So tell me how that's influenced your business reality.
I did. I think one of the things that it's done is it's supported me in being willing to get out there and be seen more. Because that is definitely something that I have struggled with in my past, not wanting to be seen. And if you're hiding, you can definitely keep your business small, which doesn't really quite work, especially because the business has a consciousness and an energy of its own, right?
Oh my goodness.
So,
It seems like when you say that, I get a lot of energy. So let's just play with that for the people listening. I'm getting being seen, whew, being judged, being seen. What can we say to the people who would like to stand up bigger, have a bigger platform, express themselves with more confidence? What's something that you can share with? Because I'm really getting that being a strength of yours. And can't you just even feel the people wanting that from us right now? It's crazy.
mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
I can. When I talk about that, my favorite analogy is a rocket ship. So when a rocket ship is on its way to the moon or whatever destination it's going to in outer space, it is literally off course 99.9% of the time. So all it's doing is making little tiny course corrections the entire time, like 99.9%. So that means it's only on course 0.1% of the time, right? But it still manages that whole time to make those little tiny course corrections and land on the moon or land on whatever the destination might be. And so I liken that to dropping the judgment and having more courage to step up and stand out and go out there
Yeah.
just after whatever your dreams or your goals or your targets are. Because it's like, what if failure is a complete and total lie? What if it's not even really possible? And, there's that old adage of, failing forward. If you look at, the Darren Hardys of the world, the Oprahs, the Michael Jordans, they talk about failing over and over again until they've succeeded.
Yeah.
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 So it's
I had,
really,
this is crazy because I'm a little quiet in my spiritual beliefs and spiritual practices. But
mhm.
I saw this movie, and it was a Christian movie called Facing the Giants.
I
And
love that
I
movie.
love that movie. And oh, I just got body chills. And one of the things that the coach said when he was in the room when they were shifting everything around was, praise God when we win, and we praise God when we lose.
Hmm.
And that was a game changer for me, because not it's just like praising life, like, okay, I failed, awesome, what did I get, what do I learn, what do I do next, like, oh my god, I succeeded, oh, awesome. You know,
Yeah.
like, that's awesome, oh my gosh, epic fail, oh my gosh, as my kids would say, mom, that's an epic fail, okay, what did we get out of that? And so um when I heard that, like, now it's like it gave me permission to do some things that maybe I might get no's. I might ask and get no's. I might not get all yeses.
Right.
And the thing that I think's misleading when you're in a job is you think you're getting a steady paycheck that you can depend on.
Mm,
But in reality, your own business that's very generative is actually more, to me, like, dependable, because you can't control all the energy of a business. You can't control who walks in the door. You can't control who your next boss is. You can't control how well you're going to get along with someone sitting right next to you. All these things are factors that you have, like, no say over, and that they're all going to affect whether you thrive or get crushed.
right.
Whereas when you're running your own business, man, I mean, if you have your own back, it's almost like you can't be stopped, in my mind.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And I
as long
love
as
that you
you're
said
willing, as long as you're willing to shift, as long as you're willing to say, okay, that was an epic fail.
and have fun with it. And like let yourself off the hook, right? And give yourself permission to just breathe
Yeah, right?
in the moments
Yeah.
and have gratitude.
We
Gratitude
should
for
have,
the
we should make a club, former perfectionists unite.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
Right? Because
Absolutely.
that's one thing when you're building your business is I get asked the funniest questions. I get asked, how many words are in a normal book? I can't
Really?
tell you how many times I get asked that. I'm like, okay, first of all, have you ever really looked at your bookshelf at the differences in spine width?
Right.
How
And height
tall is,
even.
yeah, how tall is a normal person? I'm going to be that tall. No, it doesn't work like that. That's really funny. So I think it's the same way when you're creating your business, right? It's like, who is your business? Get to know your business, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
the other thing too is like when you are willing to have your own business, you get to give yourself permission to be all of you, which is something I never really was able to do in the corporate world. I had to make sure that I all the
Wow,
rules in
right?
the games, even in the modeling world, all the rules in the games, make
Yeah.
sure I satisfied them. Whereas now I get to be me,
Wow.
which is a
Yeah.
huge gift. Huge gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that
And
fun?
it's a lot of fun. And I think sometimes we're told when we're going to step out and do business or do anything that we want to create success, we'll emulate what successful people do. And if you do what they do, then you'll be successful.
Right.
And there's an invitation in that to maybe look at the energy of what they're creating. If it's something that's maybe inspiring or an energy that you'd like to match or maybe even out create, yeah, invite that in. But the greatest gift is just to be all of you.
I'm laughing because um when I do see people just like you said, outcreate their past, outcreate themselves, have really phenomenal businesses. They're almost always a little bit strange.
Myself included.
Well, I'm like, look at some of the people that are really like kicking it, who are really doing well.
Yeah.
Even if you look at rap stars, the ones that really make it, you know, they're a little different. They're a little skinny, or they're a little bit like too many tattoos, or they're like, it's funny. I think like we all want to strive to have like the successful remedy, and oh, just tell me what to do and I'll do that.
Hmm.
You know, I told my kids one time, we were talking about someone who'd gotten expelled for getting in a fight, and they said, and they were having this conversation about when you should defend yourself and when you should do nothing. And I
Mm,
was like, well, I'm not actually going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you to ask. I was really hard on my kids because I'm like, I want you to pay attention to
mhm.
that. And if you're alone and you start getting people, then I want you to fight like hell. And if there's a whole bunch of teachers and a whole bunch of people real close, then I don't want you to show any fighting and just go run and get help.
Mm.
But I'm like, if you're in an environment, I'm not going to say to my kids, because they have zero tolerance at the school, so you're like not allowed to fight. And I'm
Right,
like, well, that's not necessarily the right response.
right,
Depending on if are you in the bathroom alone with six bullies, do something, scream,
right.
kick. I go the groin. Like, you know, I'm like, do what you got to do. You know,
Exactly.
then you won't believe this. I don't even know why I'm saying this. So it's pretty hysterical. But I tell my kids just not to be afraid to say they have AIDS. You know, I was born with
Whatever
AIDS.
works.
I was born with AIDS in case you want to hit me and get blood. That's fine. I tell my kids to, I mean, I know I probably shouldn't say that exactly, but I'm like, just say whatever shows up. Use whatever you got. Use whatever you got. Use whatever you got. I'm like, just use whatever you got, because it's not about uh, like the schools will say, this is the right way to behave in a fighting situation. And I
Right.
try to tell my kids, you don't know until you're in it. And then I want you to be on your feet thinking about, what do I do now? And, you know, they're in the high school, they've never been in a fight. But I'm like, if they are,
Just in case.
they're going to be prepared. They got some tools.
Exactly. Hey, more tools in the toolbox. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and
And being
you can't know their experience. You really can't know anymore. You know, I can't know someone in the financial business down in the you know, in the stock market right now. I don't know what their life is like. They're going to
right,
need tools. To be honest, anyone they learn from is not up against what they're up against. Anyone we learned from 20 years ago, anyone we learned from is not facing the world that we're facing right now.
right. It's a different world for
It
sure.
is. Oh my gosh. But and on the flip side, while it's harder to get seen sometimes, it's also easier, right? It's very interesting.
Right, with all the technology and social media and all of that, it absolutely is.
Yeah,
Which
it's
can also be a
crazy.
gift as you're building a business too, because it's another
Yeah.
way to kind of, create marketing and share your
Yeah.
message and expand your brand and all.
Fake it till you make it.
Whatever works, whatever works. Yeah,
Well,
seriously,
listen.
because like the average
Yeah.
business fails in the first 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. Wow. Well, let's help everybody succeed as much as they're willing. And Jennilynne, if someone would like to learn more from you and get more with you on all the wonderful things you've been sharing with us, how can they reach you?
They can email me at info@accessyourgenius.com. Also go to my website, accessyourgenius.com, or give me a call, 303-578-8694.
Yay! Awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.